All right, so talking about adding and subtracting polynomials. So we're going to talk about polynomials more in this section, which I'm not sure we've talked about a lot. So let me first define monomial. A monomial is any piece of an equation. So like x squared is a monomial, 5 is a monomial. Even 5xy is a monomial because it's only one piece. Pretty much a monomial is anything that doesn't have a plus or minus next to it. So if I put all these together, this whole thing would be a polynomial, but each single piece, and technically the negative would also be included in that, is a monomial. So that's what we're talking about here with monomials. So the next thing you have to know is what a degree is. The degree of a monomial is the adding of all the powers. So if this one has just a 2, its degree is 2. This one has no variables, so its degree is 0. This one right here, since the variable is a 1 and that one also has a 1, you have to add them together to find out that the degree is 2. And over here, same thing. I have 2 on the x. There is a 1 on the y, even though you can't see it. Add them together, and you get a degree of 3. So that is what degree is. It's just the highest power or the powers combined in a piece. So, like I already said, a polynomial is a monomial with a plus or minus in there. So these are all monomials singularly, but put together it's a polynomial. Standard form, which is how you should put all of your answers, goes from highest degree to lowest degree. So this one right here would be standard form because it goes 4, 2, 1, and then 0. The way I wrote this one earlier, which I could go back and show you, but if you wrote the signs down, you're good already. So this one would not be, because this one over here, if you remember, was 3 and 2 and 2. So technically this one needs to be in front. And they do alphabetical. So I think they would go this one, this one, this one technically in order. But I'm not going to get big about that because I've never heard anybody actually state a rule. So if they ask you for the degree of a polynomial, that is just the highest degree total. So if I look at this one, look at them in terms of monomials, each piece. Remember, this has a power of 1 and 1, so when they're added together, I get 2. This one, I have 1 and 3. That gets you 4. And this one, you can just see the degree because it's only one variable. It has a degree of 3. So technically, if they ask you the degree of this polynomial, it is 4. Note then that this would not be standard form, because if it was standard form, this would be first, this would be number 2, and that would be number 3. Okay, you can also name equations based off of how many pieces it has. More or less, we only go 3. After 3, we just call it a polynomial. We can name by the degree with, actually, I have on my door in my classroom, you'll see, I have 4th degree, which is quartic, and 5th degree, which is quintic, that are also there. So if I was naming this one, it is a trinomial because it has 3 pieces, right? 1, 2, 3. And then since the degree was 4, I'm going to call it a quartic. Even though I didn't put that on here, it's what it's called. So in order to, sorry, I just said so twice. To determine if something is a polynomial, first off, all the powers have to be whole numbers. Secondly, they cannot, well, actually, that's it for polynomial. So whole numbers means that the highest power, lowest power is 0, and they're all just regular numbers. So this one has a negative, technically. So this one is not a polynomial, while these two are. Okay? So I'm going to write this one in standard form. So 3x4, 5x4, 2x squared, and negative 4. Notice I have 2 x4s here. Because of the fact that there are 2 x4s, we can actually do something else. We can actually simplify this equation because we can add like terms, which is something we've done in the past, but we just haven't called it this. So I have x to the 4th and x to the 4th, so 3 plus 5 tells me I'd get 8x to the 4th minus 4. Now I can name it. I couldn't technically name it before because I have 2 pieces that were the same. So now it is a quartic trinomial, which is technically the order those names are supposed to go in. And that U looks horrendous, even worse on my iPad, but that's okay. So like terms are anything that has the same power on the same variable, or variables, and powers technically. So like x cubed and 3x cubed. Now, if they have the same variables but the powers are different, those are not like terms. Just like up here, x squared and x to the fourth aren't the same because 4 is different than 2. Pretty simple. So when adding polynomials and subtracting polynomials, all you do is put like terms together. So you can rewrite it in any order you want. I did it like this. I took the squareds, put them next to each other, the x's, put them next to each other, and the numbers, put them 6x squared. Notice the powers don't change. You can think of the variables like they're labels. 4 apples plus 2 apples equals 6 apples, not 6 apples squared. Okay? So minus 3x plus 8, that's how that works. On this one, I'm not going to move them. I'm just going to talk about them. So you're just going to look for any cubes. I don't have any other ones, so I just bring that one down, and I'm good with it. Do the same thing. How many squares do I have? I have 6 of them, and then I'm adding 9 more. I get 15. How many p's do I have? I have 10, but then I'm adding a negative, so we always know that's the same as subtracting. So I'm going to get negative 1. And speaking as this is the last number, have to just bring it down. There is your answer. Now when subtracting, you have to do the same thing. You can only subtract like terms. I like to distribute the negative. That's what I like to do because it seems to be easier. So it becomes negative x cubed plus 8x squared minus 11. And then I can put them together. So the cubes, the squareds, the x, and the constant. 2 minus 1 makes 1. 5 plus 8 makes 13. The negative 3 just comes down. The negative 11 just comes down. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to distribute this negative first. Do note that once you distribute the negative, the parentheses might as well go away. Then I'm going to put my cubes together. 30 minus 2 makes 28. The squareds can go to that. Negative 29 minus 1 makes negative 30. And then since this is the last number, it obviously just goes at the end. So that is my answer to that. I'm not going to worry about this because we already talked about this a couple times. If you have any questions, you can always email me. Otherwise, have a good evening, and I'll see you soon.